Pregame.tv, Steve Fezzik, Scott Spreitzer breaking down the NFL. If you're a fantasy guy, here's two teams you may think about playing their defenses or picking them up this week. We've got Houston going to the Raiders. Scott, take it away.
Well, man, I'm going to tell you what. We were on Houston this past weekend, and I'll just tell you right now, it was 50-50 as far as who was going to cover the point spread well into that football game. There's a couple of reasons why Houston ended up covering the game and winning 17-6. Obviously, the one that comes to the forefront is J.J. Watt, who's just as disruptive as it gets in the NFL. An incredible game by J.J. Watt. You can look up the stats. He did a little bit of everything. I mean, block extra point, getting after the quarterback, hurries, knockdown, sacks, everything you could imagine J.J. Watt did. His motor was running on high, and when he's healthy, he's the best in the game. There's no doubt about it. You can't convince me otherwise. But what caused them, or what the key, I guess, for them to win that football game, there's one play that stood out to me more than any other. Houston had the ball. They're up 14-6. They had the ball at midfield. They've got a third down, about 1.5 yards to go. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, who's a quarterback, obviously not a top 10 quarterback talent-wise, but might be the smartest quarterback in the league, or one of the smartest quarterbacks in the league, Steve. And they're 3rd and 1.5, let's say. They've been given the ball to Foster when they need to get some yardage. All of a sudden, on 3rd down and 1.5 yards, Foster goes out of the game. They make this little change-up on offense, and Fitzpatrick is in shotgun. And I'm like, what is this team thinking? What are they? Well, Fitzpatrick looks over the defense, and instead of being like half the quarterbacks do in the NFL and running a play when they're not ready to go, just use that timeout. He calls the timeout. They bring Foster back in the game. Guess what? Right back up under center, almost basically an old-fashioned I formation. They give the ball to Foster. He gains 2 or 3 yards. First down, drive keeps going. They go down and get a field goal. They win 17-6. He's a smart quarterback, but he's got decent receivers around him, obviously. I like the receivers around him, but he doesn't have that all-pro arm. He doesn't have the all-pro skills to move an offense up and down the field consistently and score 28 to 35 points. So there's going to be a lot of games that they win 17-13, 17-10. As far as Oakland, Steve, as far as I'm concerned, you watched last week. They played a pretty decent game for them. Derek Carr doesn't come out and look like a fool against Rex Ryan's offense at his first start and being away from home. They end up getting the cover against an earlier line. Here's the situation. Their first touchdown came on a 28-yard, 6-play drive following a Geno Smith interception. Offense did nothing after that. My only caveat about this one, Stan, as a low-scoring game, well, that's if Matt Schaub gets in and throws a couple pick sixes, but it looks like Carr's going again.
Don't be bagging on that Geno, or we got that Dub V in studio just kicking my ass about trashing him. I did see the Jets only 400-plus yards, Oakland only like 150. Yeah. I have not watched the game yet, but I look at that, and that just makes sense. You got a rookie quarterback on one side trying to keep things safe, and you got a veteran quarterback on the other side just knowing that a workmanlike effort should result in a win. It all seems to point logically towards a lower scoring game.
I hate logically, but you're right, and I'll make it official here.
Let's do it.
All right, what I'm looking at here is, and you pointed out, Derek Carr, they're keeping things simple because it's a rookie having to take on all this, everything that's coming into him right now from the playbook, plus the opposing defenses. J.J. Watt, are you kidding me? Derek Carr, welcome to the Bigs. You got to face J.J. Watt. You got to face Reed and this very good and stout Houston defense, by the way, that is healthy right now. And Brian Cushing, the leader on defense. J.J. Watt's not even the on-field leader of this team. So you got a very stout defense you're going to go against. They're going to try to keep it simple again. He completed a bunch of passes early on in the game. It was something like 8 for his first 10, near that neighborhood against the Jets, but it was for about 5.5 yards per pass because it was all dink and dunk. They're going to have to do that again this week if they plan on staying in this football game. And again, ball control, management, that's what you get out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. And with the running game that they have behind him and a decent offensive line to plow some holes in the Oakland defense, it's going to be, I think, a conservative approach. So I'm going to look for a low-scoring game. Boy, I hate playing on logic in the NFL, but I think logic comes through in this one. I like the under, Steve.
I like the under as well. I think it's a solid pick. I like it. One thing that stood out to me as I was going through the NFL scores is the only thing that worries me. And it seemed like it was low scoring week 1. You know,
Sure.
They're
9-7, I think the under.
Right. And I was looking at the final scores. It's like every game that went under, it's like 33, 35, 36, 38.
Sure.
In other words, there's not a lot of margin for error.
Absolutely.
And even in my live wagering, I noticed that like the 4 games that started out very low scoring, the second half goes over and the game doesn't make it over. So just like in the new NFL, you can really never have a total below 36. So.
I mean, one of the only games was the Houston-Washington game that had a little bit of margin for error as far as the total was concerned.
The only one, right?
Yeah, exactly. But now you're seeing, total of 40 or 39. It's dipping under 40 now as we speak, and it gets a little questionable. But again, I think it's a spot where it's going to take mistakes by a quarterback for this one to go over the total as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. I agree completely. I like the play. We're breaking it down. We've got a total play. We're going to come back with a teaser play, free play from me in the NFL. Stay tuned. Pregame.tv.